History is full of grand battles, armies marching, empires falling. But sometimes the reason a war starts isn't so much epic as it is idiotic. And invasions are supposed to be serious. Troop movements, military strategy, bloodshed. But sometimes someone invades the wrong country over a bucket or a dog or a pig or croissants. From accidental landings to fighting with alcohol bottles, here are the most unserious, accidental, and downright dumbest invasions in history. Imagine being so bad at war, you defeat yourself. In 1788, Austrian troops camped near the Ottoman border. A scouting party found booze, got drunk, refused to share. A fight broke out. Then someone fired a gun. Chaos. The rest of the army thought the Ottomans were attacking. They panicked. Troops opened fire on themselves. Cannons fired, horses ran, soldiers drowned in a river. Even the emperor fled, screaming. By morning, hundreds were dead, and the Ottomans hadn't even shown up yet. They arrived 2 days later and just walked in. Modena stole a wooden bucket from Bologna. Bologna got mad, gathered 30,000 troops. Modena refused to return it. They fought a battle. The battle was not very long. After 2,000 casualties between both sides, the Bolognese army broke. Despite the numerical inferiority, the Modenese managed to force them to flee back to Bologna. According to some reports, once they arrived there, a Modenese soldier stole yet another wooden bucket from a well near one of the city gates. 700 years later, Modena still has the bucket. It's in a museum. They are still petty. For nearly 50 years, Canada and Denmark fought over a useless rock in the Arctic. How? By leaving booze. They took turns invading it to plant flags and leave alcohol. Canada left whiskey. Denmark responded with schnapps. This was the pettiest invasion ever. An entire Cold War waged with booze and flags. It finally ended in 2022 with a peaceful split. But for decades, the island was basically a frat party with national flags. To this day, Hans Island remains the only land in history to be peacefully invaded over and over again with liquor. British naval officer George Paulet arrived in Hawaii with a warship and vibes. He told the Hawaiian king, "You belong to Britain now." Turns out, London didn't even know this was happening. They sent another officer to apologize, uninvade Hawaii, and drag Paulet home. It's the only time an empire said, "Sorry about that guy, he doesn't speak for us." A barrel of wine was stolen near the border of Spain and France. Who stole it? No one knows, but the French weren't having it. A bunch of French soldiers crossed into Spain, occupied a small village, and demanded justice. For a missing wine barrel, France claimed it was an accident. They pulled out. No shots fired, but technically, France accidentally invaded Spain over wine. Football fans can be intense, but in 1969, that intensity became a full-on war. Tensions were already high between El Salvador and Honduras over land, reform, and immigration. Then came the World Cup qualifiers. First match, Honduras wins, riots break out. Second match, El Salvador wins, riots break out harder. Third match, El Salvador wins again and invades Honduras. Yes, the football war was triggered by soccer. For 100 hours, the two countries fought, bombed each other, and killed thousands because their fans couldn't keep it together. FIFA, not just a game. Imagine being so mad about a croissant, you convince France to send warships across the Atlantic. In 1838, a French pastry chef in Mexico claimed that Mexican soldiers trashed his shop and ate his cakes without paying. Like any reasonable baker, he demanded compensation from the Mexican government. They laughed, so he went to King Louis Philippe of France. France demanded 600,000 pesos in damages for one pastry shop. When Mexico didn't cough up the dough, France blockaded their ports, bombarded their cities, and started the pastry war. 300 people formed a mini republic between Canada and the US. They didn't want war. They just didn't want to pay taxes to either side. So, both countries invaded. Canadian police showed up first. Then US troops followed. Meanwhile, the locals were just like, guys, we literally just want to fish and be left alone. Eventually, the US claimed it. Indian Stream surrendered with a shrug. The Stray Dog War, Greece versus Bulgaria, 1925. A Greek soldier's dog ran across the border into Bulgaria. He chased it. Bulgarian guards shot him. Greece invaded. Yes, an entire war almost happened over a dog. Dozens died. The League of Nations had to step in. While not a full-blown war, the conflict did result in casualties on both sides, though the number was relatively low compared to other wars. The Pig War, USA versus Britain, 1859. San Juan Island. An American farmer finds a British pig rooting in his potato patch. He shoots the pig. The pig's owner is furious. The farmer says, "It's not my fault your pig was on my land." And the Brit replies, "It's not my pig's fault your potatoes were in its way." Diplomatic insult? Check. International outrage? Check. Troops are deployed from both sides. Two mighty empires stand on the brink of war over a single pig. Fortunately, cooler heads prevailed. The pig war ended with no human deaths, just one very dead pig and a lot of confused soldiers. 1976. Korea's DMZ. A poplar tree is blocking the view of a US outpost. The US sends a team to trim it. North Korean soldiers show up and murder two American officers with axes. The US response? Not a war, not a nuke, just the most extra tree trimming session in history. They called it Operation Paul Bunyan. The next day, the US returned with 16 helicopters, 24 warplanes, B-52 bombers overhead, 100 troops with chainsaws, all to cut down one tree. North Korea saw the spectacle and backed off. The tree was trimmed. World War III narrowly avoided. Humanity was saved by a well-coordinated landscaping job. Sometimes invasions are about conquest, power, glory, geopolitics. Other times, they're about buckets, birds, booze, or a door. History isn't just brutal. Sometimes, it's unbelievably stupid.